Every year on December 25th, millions of people around the world gather to celebrate one of the most significant events in history, the birth of Jesus Christ. The streets fill with lights, families exchange gifts, and the story of the Nativity is told again and again. But as we immerse ourselves in these traditions, a question arises. Was Jesus really born on December 25th? The Bible doesn't mention this date, and historical clues point in different directions. Today, we'll dive deep into the origins of this date and explore the historical, biblical, and cultural evidence that will reveal the real story of when Jesus was likely born. To uncover the truth, we start with the Bible, the most important source for understanding the life of Jesus. The Gospels of Matthew and Luke give us detailed accounts of Jesus' birth, but interestingly, neither mentions a specific date. Luke's Gospel describes the shepherds in the fields, keeping watch over their flocks by night, when an angel appeared to announce the birth of the Savior. This detail is significant because shepherds typically watch their flocks outdoors during the warmer months, such as spring or fall, when sheep would be grazing in open fields. This makes the cold winter months of December seem unlikely for such an event. Luke also tells us that Mary and Joseph traveled to Bethlehem because of a Roman census. Historically, Roman censuses were often conducted during milder seasons to facilitate travel, as people were required to return to their ancestral towns. Traveling during winter would have been challenging, especially for a pregnant woman like Mary. These clues point toward a time other than December for Jesus' birth. So if the Bible doesn't provide the date, how did December 25th come to be recognized as the day of Jesus' birth? To answer this, we need to journey back to the early days of the Christian Church in the Roman Empire. Before Christianity became widespread, the Romans celebrated several pagan festivals in December, particularly around the winter solstice. The most notable was the festival of Sol Invictus, or the unconquered sun, held on, you guessed it, December 25th. This festival celebrated the rebirth of the sun as days began to grow longer after the shortest day of the year. As Christianity spread throughout the Roman Empire, early church leaders faced a dilemma. How could they encourage converts to abandon their pagan traditions and embrace Christianity? Some historians believe that December 25th was chosen as the date to celebrate Jesus' birth as a strategic move. By aligning Christmas with existing pagan festivals, the church offered a Christian alternative to these popular celebrations. This way, people could still celebrate, but the focus would shift to the birth of Christ, the light of the world, symbolizing a new beginning in the arrival of God's salvation. While December 25th became the official date for Christmas, clues in the Bible and historical records suggest a different time of year for Jesus' actual birth. As mentioned, the shepherds watching their flocks at night indicate that it was probably not winter. Some scholars propose that Jesus could have been born in the spring, around March or April, when lambs were being born, making it a time when shepherds would be especially vigilant in the fields. Other scholars argue for an autumn birth, possibly around September. This idea is linked to the Jewish festival of Sukkot, also known as the Feast of Tabernacles, a time when people traveled to Jerusalem and lived in temporary shelters. If Jesus were born during this time, it would explain why Bethlehem was crowded, forcing Mary and Joseph to stay in a stable. Additionally, this timing fits well with the idea that Jesus, described in John 1:14 as the Word who dwelt among us, could be connected to the Festival of Tabernacles, which celebrates God's provision and presence. In recent years, some scholars and astronomers have attempted to pinpoint the time of Jesus' birth using clues from the sky. The Star of Bethlehem, mentioned in the Gospel of Matthew, is believed to have been a real astronomical event, possibly a conjunction of planets like Jupiter and Venus, or a bright comet. Researchers have traced such events to around 7 to 6 BC, which aligns with the time frame when Herod the Great ruled Judea. Herod's role in the Nativity story, particularly his decree to kill all male infants in Bethlehem, provides a historical anchor for estimating Jesus' birth. However, these astronomical events did not occur in December. Instead, they align more closely with spring or autumn dates. This further supports the idea that the birth of Jesus likely happened during a different season. The earliest Christians didn't celebrate Jesus' birth at all. Instead, they focused on his death and resurrection, which are central to Christian faith. The observance of Christmas didn't become widespread until the 4th century. By this time, Christianity had gained official recognition under Emperor Constantine, and the church began to formalize its celebrations. In 336 AD, during Constantine's reign, December 25th was first recorded as the date for Christmas. It's believed that the church chose this date to coincide with Roman festivals like Saturnalia and Sol Invictus, transforming a time of pagan feasting into a celebration of Christ's birth. By doing so, the church aimed to create a seamless transition for converts, allowing them to continue celebrating while shifting the focus to Christianity. While the historical and biblical evidence suggests that December 25th is unlikely to be the actual date of Jesus' birth, the question remains, does the exact date matter? For Christians, the importance of Christmas lies not in the specific day, but in the event itself, the miraculous birth of Jesus, the Savior of the world. It's a celebration of God's love and the fulfillment of prophecy as foretold by the prophets like Isaiah, who spoke of a virgin giving birth to a child who would be called Emmanuel, meaning God with us, Isaiah 7:14. The message of Christmas transcends time and date. Whether it's celebrated on December 25th, in spring, or any other time, what truly matters is the recognition of Jesus' arrival and the hope, peace, and joy it brings. The focus is on the miracle of God becoming flesh, dwelling among us, and offering salvation to humanity. So was Jesus really born on December 25th? The evidence suggests otherwise, but the tradition of celebrating his birth on this date has deep historical and cultural roots. Over the centuries, December 25th has become a day filled with significance and meaning, symbolizing the arrival of light in a dark world. It's a time for Christians to come together, reflect on the gift of Jesus, and share that message of hope with others. As you celebrate Christmas, remember that it's not about pinpointing an exact date. It's about rejoicing in the truth of God's love and the gift of his Son, a gift that is eternal and unchanging, regardless of the day it's celebrated. Whether or not Jesus was born on December 25th, the joy and wonder of his birth remain timeless.